Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. It's Russell with Ink and Paper Blog. How are you doing today? Happy Sunday. I hope you guys are doing fantastic. The weather here has been amazing. So lots of outside time, lots of time with the dogs in the sunshine. We've done some driving around and some walking around and just really enjoying this beautiful, beautiful weekend. And then last night, I actually got to see the amazing Helen Oyemi in conversation with Esme Wijan Wang at East Bay Booksellers, and it was fantastic. Helen was amazing. She had so many cool stories. She's so articulate and so smart and so interesting, very soft-spoken. And I was a little worried in the beginning with her sort of soft-spoken nature. No need to worry. She just wrapped you right into her storytelling. It was an amazing, amazing evening. It was really, really great. And I think I'm going to do a video of all of her books that I have and tell you about Gingerbread, her newest book, and sort of the story she told when I saw her live in a video coming up. So I'll share all of that. Today's video is kind of fun. I have been, as you guys know, working so much that my reading has sort of slipped a little bit. And I have a lot of stuff that I want to read or I'm currently reading or planning on reading. So I thought I would share with you sort of a tentative, very loose reading plan. I don't want to call it a TBR because all of the books in my house that I haven't read are technically my TBR. But this is really just some books that are on a plan, sort of, I want to get to these sooner rather than later. But I've really broken it down into three sections. The first three books are going to be the books that I am currently reading. I am currently reading 2 and I am listening to 1 on audiobook. Then the middle section will be books that I want to read that are out right now, that are just right here in my hands, and reasons that I have to read them. And then the last section are 3 books that are coming out in the month of April that I'm super duper excited to get to. And you know how I always try to wait until the month of or just month prior to when books come out before I read them, so I can tell you guys about them closer to the date that they are published. And these are 3 that are just nipping. Now there are actually a lot of books coming out in March, or came out in March, or coming out in April that I really, really want to read. So it was hard, but these are 3 that just, I thought, you know what, I'll share these 3 with you guys because you know I'll talk about all the other ones in other videos to come. So let's get started with the 3 books that I am currently reading. The first book that I am currently reading is Little Faith by Nickolas Butler. This came out last week, I believe. And this is the story of Lyle. Lyle is a grandpa and a dad. And his daughter and grandson have just moved home to live with him and his wife. They live in a very rural, small town. What Nickolas Butler does in the first part of this book that just is so amazing is he creates this relationship between Lyle and his grandson. There is no doubt how much Lyle loves his grandson. It is freaking amazing. I was sort of like choked up in just the first few pages about their relationship. It's pretty fantastic. The book, we learn in maybe the first chapter or so that Lyle had a son who died when he was 9 months old. Him and his grandson at the start of the book are actually at the cemetery to clean the son's headstone. And you learn in the first couple chapters that this act, the loss of his son, has sort of caused Lyle to lose his faith. In comes his daughter, who comes back with a new sense and sort of a religious vigor that Lyle does not have, and is involved in churches that are not sort of in the normal mainstream. What I know from the back is that the leader of the church that his daughter goes to seems to think that Lyle has some amazing power, and Lyle has to make a choice between his lack of faith and his daughter's faith and the relationships he wants to keep with his daughter and his grandson and his family. I am loving the writing. I am absolutely loving Lyle as a character. I'm loving the dynamic between him and his grandson. I think it is just lovely. So I am really enjoying Little Faith, and I cannot wait to keep going. So Little Faith, Nickolas Butler, out now. You can get your hands on it. Read it with me because it's pretty darn good. The next book that I am currently reading, I am buddy reading with Jacqueline at 6 Minutes to Read, 6 Minutes to Me. And Jacqueline knows that I'm awful at channel names, and I apologize. But we are currently reading No More Boats by Felicity Castagna. I'm saying Felicity's name wrong. I'm sorry. This is out now from Europa Books. This is actually an Australian author that is telling an immigrant story and family saga in Australia. So basically what we have is we have a family that is a mom and a dad and a son and a daughter. The dad was actually an immigrant to Australia, built his own house, had his kind of created himself out of nothing in Australia. And an accident has happened on a work site. He has lost one of his best friends and he is injured pretty severely. We also learned about the lives of his two children and sort of the directions that they're heading in. That is sort of the family saga part. What is also going on at the same time is the Tampa affair that went on in Australia, which I am learning more about by reading this book and then will research when I'm done. And Jacqueline, who I'm reading it with, is Australian, so I'm sure in my buddy read she'll teach me a ton. But this was an event that happened in Australia when a group of refugees on a boat were sort of held off the coast of Australia on this boat while the country decided what they wanted to do with these refugees. So that's what I know. The story is really interesting because she has a very, very flat, direct style, which with all of sort of the drama that's going on seems to add a sense of presence to the overall narrative that I'm really enjoying. She has distanced herself enough to allow the action to create the emotion instead of trying to create the emotion with her words, which I think is brilliant and I'm really loving it. I'm about halfway through, absolutely enjoying it. Europa sent me this copy. Thank you, Europa. Love them. Love what they publish. Really enjoying. I don't read a ton of Australian literature, so this is really cool that I'm getting into this one. And that's No More Boats by Felicity Castagna, and I'm sure that that is wrong, so I apologize, Felicity. The next book is the book I'm reading on I'm listening to on audiobook. Now, I haven't done a video about the Women's Prize long list. There are a lot of videos out there about that long list. When it came out, there are 16 books on the list. I had already read 8 of them and halfway through another one. I have since read a 9th and I am now in the middle of sort of the 10th. And I will do a video, sort of my view of all of the long list when I've done reading them all. But the one I'm currently listening to right now is The Pisces by Melissa Broder. This is a controversial book in and of itself. This is a very sexualized book. There is a lot of stuff in here that can make you blush. The word penis is mentioned quite a few times in the first few minutes of the audiobook. But what we do is we have a woman here who is sort of getting out of a relationship where she has realized that she is sort of obsessed with this man. She is hands down in the first part of this book. I don't know, it could change. I just started it, but she is one hard lady to like. And she has very distinct opinions about other women, other people that can probably rub people wrong. I know that this book has a lot of sort of people either like it, love it, or hate it. And I think that I can see already why. I am reserving all judgment until I finished the book because I am compelled to continue with the story, even though the main character sort of puts me on edge in and of it myself. And maybe exactly what Melissa Broder wanted was this character to put you on edge from the get-go. But yeah, so this is my 10th read in the Women's Prize long list. And so I'm just plugging along. So that's The Pisces by Melissa Broder. The next 2 books that I'm going to tell you about are actually my book club books, and I need to get on them because book club is next weekend. The first is If Beale Street Could Talk by James Baldwin. I think this cover is gorgeous. I normally do not do movie tie-in covers, but that is just beautiful. Those are 2 beautiful human beings on the front of this cover, and just sort of the sense of sadness in this photo. Oh, sorry, plane flying overhead. If Beale Street's Talk is about a young couple, very young couple, where they are planning to get married when the guy is wrongfully accused of a crime and put in prison, and right after that, the young lady finds out she's pregnant. This is about the family's drive to prove the innocence of the son, and also about the dynamic of this relationship with this baby on the way, and her relationship not only with her family, but also his family. James Baldwin is one of America's greatest writers. I think if you haven't read him, anywhere is a great place to start because, and this is one of the few of his that I have not read, and I'm super excited to discuss it with my book club. We are reading this in tandem with The Passing by Nella Larsen. I've talked about this book a couple times on my channel. This is about two women in the 20s, I want to say. You know what, I'm not exactly sure the time period, so I apologize, that pass for white and their relationship with each other. I've heard that it deals with race, it deals with class, it deals with sexuality. I've heard nothing but rave reviews for Passing, and I don't know why I haven't read it yet, except luckily, I was able to save it to read it with my book club, which will be a fantastic discussion, I am sure. So I cannot wait to get to Passing by Nella Larsen. I need to get to both of these because book club will come before I know it. The next two books are also out right now, or coming out really, really soon. The one that I definitely have on my radar is A Woman Is No Man by Etaf Rum. This is a debut novel out from Harper, and this is the story of two different women. One is a young woman in Palestine who is obsessed with reading in the world of literature, but is forced to into an arranged marriage that brings her to the United States. That's in the 70s, I want to say, 1990. Then the second part, see, I got my time periods a little bit crossed there. And then the second part is in Brooklyn in 2008. We have a young girl whose grandmother is basically saying she wants to go to college, the young girl, but the grandmother is saying you need to meet a man because that's the way that you'll have a future in the world. So I think that this is going to have to do with the dynamic between the two of them. I have a feeling that the first woman in the 1990s is probably the grandmother, the woman in 2008, or maybe not. It may be the mother. 2008 may be the granddaughter, and then the grandmother is, you know, the mom's mom. That doesn't make any sense, but you know what I mean. I have heard great things about this book. I've heard it's a fantastic debut novel, and I am all on board for A Woman Is No Man by Etaf Rum. And I'm sorry if I'm saying your first name wrong. These four books, two of them come out, no, this one comes out this month, I think in a week. And that is Miranda in Milan by Katharine Duckett. This was kindly sent to me by Tor Books. This is a finished copy. I have wanted to read this book since I read about it. So Miranda in Milan is a take on The Tempest by Shakespeare. What happened to Miranda after Shakespeare's Tempest comes to an end? And the way that it describes the book is Naples awaits Miranda and Ferdinand and a throne. Instead, she finds herself in Milan, in her father's castle, surrounded by hostile servants who treat her like a ghost. Whispers cling to her like spiderwebs, whispers that carry her dead mother's name. And though he promised to give away his power, Milan is once again contorting around Prospero's dark arts. With only Dorothea, her sole companion and confidant, to aid her, Miranda must cut through the mystery and find the truth about her, her father, and her mother. Ever since I've read about it, I've wanted to read it. I think it sounds absolutely fantastic. So that is Miranda in Milan by Katharine Duckett. I want to say I think it comes out next week. I think. It comes out very soon. Okay, the next three books are three books that come out in April that have been on my radar. One is a YA fantasy novel that was kindly sent to me by Albert Whitman and Company, and that is Descendant of the Crane by Joan He. This is a debut Chinese-based fantasy novel about a young woman who does not want to be part of the royal family, but her father passes away, and before she knows it, she's queen. She doesn't know why her father or how her father passed away, so she decides to enlist the help of a soothsayer, which is against the law because magic has been outlawed in her country for some time. So she's committing treason, but she decides to follow what the soothsayer has said, and in that she winds up meeting a young investigator who is a convicted criminal of his own, which I don't know exactly what that means, but I am interested. And with the future sort of the kingdom and everything at stake, will sort of everything catch up to them, or can they solve the mystery of her father's death? I think this cover is gorgeous. Can we just take a moment? Albert Whitman and Company does a lot of YA and children's picture books that are just absolutely beautiful. So thank you so much for sending me this copy. This is Descendant of the Crane by Joan He. Next on this list is the the novel Naamah by Sarah Blake. I apologize. My biblical names are awful. Actually, you guys know all of my name pronunciations are awful. I try to sound them out phonetically, and that never works. This is a retelling of the Bible story of the flood from the point of view of Naamah, Noah's wife. And I have heard nothing but rave reviews by this. I actually was drawn to it because Lenny Zumas did a blurb for it. And then I heard that Sarah Blake was is a poet by trade, and that her language is very, very beautiful. I started this when it came into me, and it took all my power not to continue reading. So I'm dying to get to this. It comes out next month on April 9th, so soon. And this is Sarah Blake's novel. I believe this is her debut novel. And I'm just going to hold that name up there. I don't know. If you guys can phonetically tell me how to pronounce it down in the comments below, I would really appreciate it. I do Google and then I listen to it, and it just never works for me. I'm just not that kind of guy. But I am super, super excited about this book. And this cover is also gorgeous. Last in this video, but not by no means last in the books that I'm excited to read that have come out, but one that has definitely been nipping at my reading heels, is Miracle Creek by Angie Kim. Now, this has gotten a lot of praise, and I think it has a blurb from Alexander Chi. He really, really loved it. I think I read something about it on Twitter. This is the story of a Korean couple in a town who own one of those hyperbolic chambers, oxygen chambers, which the town uses for a variety of different reasons. There's a mom who uses it to help with her autistic son, and there is also a doctor who is trying to save his marriage, which is struggling due to infertility. There are other characters, but what really sort of sets all of this story in place is that there is an sabotage to the hyperbolic chamber, which explodes and kills someone. And the book is told as a courtroom drama, but also then makes a commentary on this city and town, the racial dynamics. I think when I read Alexander Chi's sort of synopsis, is it's about Korean American business owners too, which is a dynamic or something that has not been seen in literature from this angle often. All I know is that people have raved about it. I have been, again, like the last book, biting my tongue to get to it. I have started it and I'm like, no, Russell, wait. And this comes out on April 16th, so it's not that far away. Angie Kim, I will be reading your book before I know it. I cannot wait. That's Miracle Creek, Angie Kim. So I should say thank you to Sarah Crichton Books at FSG for sending me this. Oh, I'm sorry. And I didn't say thank you to Riverhead Books for sending me this copy. Both of them very, very kind. Cannot wait for these. So that is a stack of books. That's my reading plan. It will change, absolutely. I do have to read the 2 books that are for book club. Everything else will change when I read them, but they're all books that are on my radar. Have you guys heard of any of them? Have you read any of them? Do you have any opinions? What do you think? As always, if you are a return subscriber, I'm just so thankful that you come back. I really appreciate it. If you are new to my channel, I hope all of these books wind up on your TBR. And as I always say, order them from your libraries, order them from your independent bookstores, and really just support the authors with their books and read their books and talk to them about it. And until next time, I wish you happy reading, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.